How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Christmas movie review. I'm Shaun, and you're watching Zoobox. Today, we're going to be talking about the direct-to-video sequel to a Christmas classic, an iconic Christmas movie. We're going to be talking about A Christmas Story 2.
It's the most beloved Christmas story of all time. And this holiday season, Ralphie is back. Ralphie? Now he's a bigger kid with an even bigger wish.
Holy jeez.
A Christmas Story 2, the official sequel.
The film is directed by Brian Levant, is based on Gene Shepard's concept, not really his writing, and Nate Maudlin, who also does the narration for this movie. It stars Daniel Stern, Bradine Lemasters, Valin Chenier, Stacey Travis, and others. The logline plot synopsis is, 5 years later, Ralphie has his eyes fixed on a car, but trouble is sure to follow.
I want to see what it's like behind the wheel just once.
This is for you from Aunt Clara. That is too adorable for words.
I can think of a few.
A Christmas Story 2, the official sequel.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's risen from the grave.
This is the greatest Christmas in history.
Own it on Blu-ray combo pack or download to own. DVD 2-pack also available.
So, like most people, I think, I remember when they talked about this coming out, or maybe I saw like the advertisement, because it was a direct-to-video movie. Probably saw the advertisements and probably saw it just like sitting on the shelf somewhere. Saw the poster, which is like a little cheap looking, little TV movie looking. And I really kind of was dismissive of it. I think it might have been in the background at some point in my life during a Christmas season since it came out, but I don't think I ever really gave it a shot. And the reason why it was brought to my attention that maybe it'd be worth giving a shot was actually somebody, oh my goodness, excuse me, somebody on Twitter and also Letterboxd, this guy Walter that we follow each other, and he was just like, it's good family entertainment, because I had kind of slagged it off a little bit unfairly when I wrote my little write-up for 8-Bit Christmas. And so I decided to give it a go. Give it a shot, right? Not everything needs to be Citizen Kane. Like some things, it's okay to be what it is. Sometimes something is just a nice family film, nice family fare. And I would say this, A Christmas Story never really truly needed a sequel, especially not in the sense of A Christmas Story 2. You could take Gene Shepard's writings and do other sequels. There was a few other ones that the names are eluding me at the moment. It's like My Summer Story.
Oh, another 5-minute wait. The old man tried to sneak by.
Hold it!
And then there was another one, but they're not like official canon. The My Summer Story one stars Charles Grodin, is directed by Bob Clark, who directed the first Christmas Story. He also directed Black Christmas.
Hey, quiet! It's him again! The Mona!
But those are like not really official canon, official sequels, whatever that means. This one is kind of like, let's take the context, the environment, the style of A Christmas Story and do a sequel that way. And I would say this, it's slight, it's kind of ephemeral, but it was okay. It was actually all right. I found myself enjoying it way more than I expected to. Yeah, I think it's a little like too referential to the first movie, like just kind of repeating gags and too many callbacks maybe.
Son of a bitch! Frickin' Gallywop of possum member! Gotcha, you booger!
I think that's probably fair. But I think it kind of captures the tone pretty well, surprisingly enough. And all the actors do a really good job in terms of just like recreating the feeling of that family and that family unit.
You know, I heard that 31% of American households had second cars.
Careful. Don't tip your hand.
Not that we need one. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, we are living in prosperous times, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Country's on a roll. You know what they say, sky's the limit.
Coach got Mikey Whitland eating his boogers and jam.
And kind of continuing that on. The spirit of those characters are definitely well represented, and they definitely are carried on in the sequel, even if there's kind of some problems with it. Because there's lots of things that it tries to kind of set up that it never really feels like it does a good job being able to strand through the story. Like specifically, Ralphie wants a car. He wants a car for Christmas. He wants to maybe even save up some money for a car. And that's kind of the big push. And there's an inciting incident where Ralphie accidentally, he gets in the car just to kind of feel what it's like to be behind the wheel, and accidentally, hits the brake, and it rolls into the streets, and he dents the fender, and he ends up owing the guy $85. Which kind of sets the story in motion in terms of the proper plot. But there's a lot of subplots that the movie doesn't do a great job, I think, of making things feel earned by the end, even though that the conclusions of them are actually very satisfying. And that's what kind of makes it frustrating in retrospect, thinking back on Ralphie there's a girl at school Ralphie likes, and he thinks she's kind of out of his league. He really wants to kind of make a move, but she's really attractive. She's hanging out with the jocks. Ralphie's not a jock. And they don't do a good job of just seeding that through the movie, through the story. But the way it ends is the way it should end, and it feels very kind of iconic and feels in line with the rest of the values of the film. Daniel Stern actually does a great job. He comes in taking over for Darren McGavin, one of my favorite actors of that era.
I'm gonna drive the 500, and he's right down Route 6. Don't take the corner in third. Who's gonna pay for a new transmission? You're letting this joker cut in? It's dog eat dog out here. Stake your claim, son of a bitch!
Yeah, and I think he does a pretty good job. He's actually really fun in the role. The same thing with the mother character, Stacey Travis. She does a really great job. Like I said, they kind of just capture the spirit, even Ralphie's friends. Everybody feels it does feel kind of like a legitimate continuation of that world. There's a verisimilitude about that environment, the 1940s, and the kind of the good-naturedness of it. There's really an sense of Americana and proper values, for lack of a better way to put it, and an understandable and realistic family dynamic. That was always one of the things about the original Christmas Story. While it's idyllic and it's a little broad and over the top, all of these little things though about the characters you identified in your own life. It seemed like a very relatable family atmosphere, family dynamic, with the grumpy dad and the doting mother who feels like she's over her head sometimes and has to kind of wrangle and deal with all these wild animals, these wild men.
For Pete's sake, no.
I heard you sniffle. You want to be sick when Santa comes?
And I think this sequel actually feels part and parcel with that. There's a real good-naturedness to it. And that's kind of why I would say I'm slightly disappointed in certain aspects of it. But as just a slight family film, I can't say that it's not worth at least putting on during the season. You're going to watch so many Christmas movies during this season. Most of them you're going to be half paying attention to. I think this is at least worthy of that. At the very least, it's worthy of that. Like I said, I think it's better than it has any right to be, even if it's a little too slight and a little undercooked in parts. The guy who did it is Brian Levant, and Brian Levant is kind of like a workman director. He's done a lot of TV, and he's done a lot of Scooby-Doo. He did Beethoven, both of the live-action Flintstones movies.
Fred, I hear that eating too much red meat is bad for you.
What a load of bunk. My father ate it every day of his life. He lived to the ripe old age of 38.
Jingle All the Way, a Zoobox family favorite. It's one of our ironic Christmas movie we watch every year. So he's got a knack for this kind of stuff, this kind of like almost sitcom-y comedic stylings, because there's a lot of like, a lot of gag humor and stuff like that rather in this, and I think it's all executed pretty well. If there's a problem with it, it's probably mostly in the script or post production, trying to get this down to like be a tight of a movie as possible. It's pretty short. Like the actual run, like the movie itself is like, I think it's about 80 minutes, almost on the nose. Like that's a pretty short movie, and it sets up a lot of things that it could explore further, but kind of just doesn't. It just wants to get right to the point, straight to the principle of it, if you will. And in that respect, I enjoyed myself. You could do a lot worse. There's a lot worse, more slight, more shitty Christmas movies than this one. Some of which I've watched this season, and maybe we'll hear about them. But it's, I say give it a try. Give it a try. I don't think it's as good as A Christmas Story, but I do think that it is pleasantly surprising how much it feels like part of that world, and how much good of a job the actors do kind of representing that style, even the acting, even the performance style of like kind of trying to recreate the tone of A Christmas Story. And I think everybody does a pretty good job. Surprisingly enough, there you go. It's just an example. Don't always judge a book by its cover. Even if you see something like this, which everybody was like, oh, sacrilege. It's so sacrilegious. How could you do a sequel to A Christmas Story? Well, you could have done a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. Which may seem like like a low bar, but on the Christmas movie scale, I would probably give this like a 2.75 out of 5 if I were to like give it like a star rating. I think that'll kind of let you know, because it is a little slightly less than good because of some story issues, but I do think it kind of brings it home in the end. And you end the movie on like a really positive note, a warm, good feeling. You like these people, you like this family, you're happy for Ralphie. It's good stuff. All right, everybody, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
I am not going anywhere. I am a stubborn son of a bitch, just like he is.